Welcome back to Let's Talk Short Track Racing, episode 15.
15, your favorite number.
Yeah, go Clint.
She just told me that.
Yeah. Sorry, Nick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Second favorite number.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, 15. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We've been rolling right along here.
I know. It flew by. I feel like we were just on episode 6, which was my first episode.
Yeah. You're doing good. Last week, you're doing, I think.
Getting there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had there was a busy weekend of racing
It was.
this weekend. I feel
Yeah.
like all over.
Even it was nice to be closer to home.
Yeah.
For us, yeah. We had a lot going on. Yeah, that's on our guest today. We got
Colin.
Colin's going to be in here, and he was the winner of the Freedom
The
Factory
Bigley
Bigley tune-up race. Yep. That was a good time. We all went there.
Yeah.
Had a lot going on throughout the country. It's so hard to get them all, but we're trying to hit kind of like our bases. Yeah, what we're doing. So what do you got?
So starting Thursday, it was a doubleheader for the ASA Star Series. So they raced Thursday night at Hickory, where Colby Howard won. Chase Elliott finished second. So strong run for him outside of the Cup Series.
Yeah. For him on the short track world, he hasn't been doing that great.
Yeah.
So.
And it's always cool seeing the NASCAR guys come over, and it's also cool seeing them not dominating. It shows really how tough late models are. Yeah, the short track world right now is I always feel like, I think it's so strong. I mean, we don't have the car counts that we wish we would have, but the cars that are racing are tough. It's a tough deal right now. Competitive field.
Yeah, very much, and everything that, even up in Wisconsin, I see that the counts are down, but the fields are strong with the people that are racing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then after Hickory, ASA went over to Newport Speedway, where Derek Kraus won.
Yeah, Derek, one of the Wisconsin boys. Yeah, he's needed that too. They've been on a.
He hasn't been his normal Derek Kraus self lately.
Yeah, no, it's been tough for him coming out of the NASCAR side, jumping in the short track side with his family's race car, and then he's been struggling. Man, I even remember last year. Man, he was wrecked almost every weekend. The poor kid couldn't
catch a break.
Yeah, boy, I know how that feels with our program. But he won that, and that's that Newport's. So I watched a little bit of the base on that track. So that's a track that's been sitting a while.
Okay.
I was
going to say, I haven't really heard much
about
it.
The guy that bought it sounded like the guy's kind of an entrepreneur, invested in this thing. He was there. Just the story on him, I can't think of his name offhand, but when he was a kid, he went there and hung out, and he's kind of done well in life and buys this place and trying to wake it back up. The place looks neat.
Yeah.
It's got that kind of that Wilkesboro feel, kind of that older classic, the history, and then the place is really looking good. They're trying to get it up and going. So it's neat that the ASA was there. Bummed out about the ASA car counts right now. Man, I just thought with everything they had going on, they would at least had 20 to 30 race cars, but both races were down on car. So
but I think, like we were saying, I think that's all over the country.
Yeah, I think we're just in. We just got to be honest with ourselves. Groceries are $600 a week in families, and I mean, we're just there in time, and what sacrifices is your hobby.
Yeah.
And a lot of these teams are full-time programs, and they're the ones that are still going, but the hobbyists that we need to go, and just like Colin coming in today, he's that perfect example, working a full-time job, and he's out there racing.
And it's just him and his dad. It's a small team.
Yeah. And I don't know where he's going, and we'll talk to him today about is he going up to Berlin to run these races. And I mean, if you think about that, where is that for them, that'd be tough. He's got to work a full-time job. Now he's got to take an entire week off. That's an expense for your Then you got to drive up there, and also we're heading up there too. I mean, we're going to race our
I came in today and I found that out.
Yeah. No, we're going to use our family car. We're going to Grant GTR Racing. Grant's going to cover and take care of everything as he always does. But now using our family car, and it keeps us in the hunt for Ricky's shows. And it wasn't a plan, but then we've been running good. So let's just go see if it can take him, so we got to go to Jennerstown, the same thing. But it's exciting. So what else you got?
Yeah, so obviously, as we were talking with Colin, he won the Bigley. And then, of course, here in the GTR shop, we had Kendrick second and Nick third. So that was a really strong weekend for us.
Yeah, no, I think it was well neat. I felt, as a crew chief, I felt the most prepared with the cars leaving here. I already feel like in our program we're never, I don't want to say never, we're a fast, I feel like we're fast race cars, but I never chase the qualifying, and I never have. I never went after fast time and all that, even though we've done it plenty of times. But I was worried about the pace, where that car is, and that car. Both Nick and Kendrick had really good long run cars, and you've seen it out there. And it's funny. We're excited. Our team is excited. You know, being part of our team, and it's good for
definitely
GTR. We needed that
momentum
builder. After the past race, leading the race, and then pulling off the track, and everything that's happened. The brakes at Citrus. Nick had a great run at Citrus, but I mean, so it's just the step by step by step. But now a pinnacle race like Ricky's National Tour, to be second and third out of the same shop is awesome. It's good for what we're, with everybody that here on this team, what we're trying to get done, and we're starting to see results. So and then we just got to get to the next one. So we're building notebooks. That's all we're doing. We don't have notebooks. We're building them, and we got a good start of a notebook.
Yeah, and then also at Freedom Factory with the super late models was Ricky's Sportsman Series.
Yeah.
Where Dodge Culver won again, and this was his third win in a row. So
they pulled his motor. I seen that. That was pretty cool.
That's the second time he's had UARA pull his motor. Yeah. So I think this time I think the rule is that there's pretty much switching the motor and keeping his. I think that's what I've heard.
I wonder. We don't hear nothing, right?
Yeah.
You know, we don't hear nothing. If we do, folks, we'll let you know. But at this point, Dodge has just been killing it. Yeah. Like he is on a shitstorm, just getting it done. So it's pretty cool that and we're all fans of Dodge here at the GTR Ranch, and he's just doing really well. Man, they tore some stuff up though. It's a bummer for me.
Yeah. And I mean, to Ricky's point, it's hard to watch when, like, you think as a fan you want to see a lot of wrecks, you want to see a lot of that, but I mean, even on the fan side, I could tell that they were getting irritated. They wanted to see a few green flag laps.
And you don't want like a class like that where it is budget racing. I mean, and don't get me wrong, them sportsman cars down here, there's nobody budget racing with them.
No.
They're giving us just as much in that class, but we don't need to see them guys doing that. And and sometimes it's funny. And I'm just going to say this out there. So we had I'll just say a fan, but it's a guy that goes to the races a lot. I see him a lot, and I'm just going to say it that way. And he said something about Kendrick and Nick, and he said, Kendrick passed 7 cars under green flag, and he didn't touch one.
Yeah.
And so at home, we in Wisconsin, we get it's a different level. Now, I was talking to a racer down here, and these are all my friends now. I'm learning these people, and they know who I am, and I'm getting to know them. And I talked to one, and he said, "Oh, I got into him, and I wanted to ruffle his feathers." And so my mindset was, so you got into him, you wanted to ruffle his feathers. Well, what it does, it ruffles his feathers, which means 9 times out of 10, if you're going to get into somebody, you think you're kind of being the bigger man, it's going to pay you back, and it's going to be paid back in the long run. And I look at it like, we just need to race.
Yeah. We
need to set the guy up, do a crossover. If the guy's blocking, and if you got to nudge him, I mean, we've seen what happened on the front row.
Yeah.
And there was blocking, and there was stuff. I mean, the 69 car is trying to hold his position. Yeah. The 46 is trying to go low. The 67 is trying to go high. There was no need for a 3-wide situation there when the two were still battling.
Yeah.
And so this is just me being verbal about it, where a lot of that stuff like that would save race cars.
Yeah.
Not pushing that. Here's our 2 drivers. Don't have a scratch on either car, and they're second and third. We didn't get the win. We were trying. Colin had the better car. It's funny because when I was talking to him after the race, I said, "Man, your car was." When Kendrick was on the outside, I was like, "Okay, he's loose, Kendrick. I've seen his car being loose." So I was saying, I'm standing down in turn 3. My Michelle's spotting, and I said, and then all of a sudden I see Colin going loose, and then Kendrick goes in loose. I go, well, we're just as loose as he is, so it doesn't much matter. But no, these racers down here are my friends, and I'm getting to know all of them and the owners and stuff, and this ruffle and feather stuff is just that's costing racers money. And we need to just work on setting them up, getting them set up. And if you just can't, you can't.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can't, then we just got to go home, work on the car the next race instead of ruffling his feathers just to get him out of the way. And now he spins sideways, and 3 cars back, that guy gets wrecked because you spun him and he spun you or whatever it might be. And it's funny. That doesn't happen a lot at home. I'm not saying it doesn't.
Yeah.
But at home, it doesn't. We don't race like that there. And people will tell you that. People will say it's different in Wisconsin. Ricky Brooks will tell you that.
Yeah.
He's been up there. And I'm not saying we go to Slinger and we've seen some ruffling feathers. But
it happens.
It's just not as much as it's down here.
There's more respect,
yeah.
I think.
And that's the word. It's what it is, respect. Yeah. And these guys are all super good guys. They're super friendly. But then one moment, I'm going to ruffle his feathers. On. And and it doesn't have to happen. I like going to the track where it's like you're friendly. Even here, Colin was coming in today live, but he's going to be calling in. But and I don't want to chase too much. We're getting into where his time is coming up. Yes. But that's something that Colin was hanging on. Yeah. And he ran a great race, but he was hanging on. And when they were getting into him, I watched him out of the car, and that kid wheeled it.
Yeah.
He wheeled it, and it was deserving win for him. Car's good. His car's good. Yeah. Runs up front. Man, he's had a great run. But, yeah, we're going to have him on as a guest next. It'll be awesome talking to him. So.
Yeah, and then just to finish out the races this weekend, the Big O Classic at Owasso, that was with the JEG CRA Tour. Kyle Crum won that one. And then the Trickle 99 at Golden Sands, John Beal won that.
Yep.
And then we were talking about Slinger, and Slinger, Justin Mondyke won.
Yeah.
So just a quick rundown.
Mondyke did. I watched both Beal at Golden Sands. That's kind of our home track, Golden Sands up in Wisconsin, and we missed it. That's our first time we missed it in a long time. Wow. This race, but John's always been fast up there. That's a great race for the Dick Trickle Memorial. Yeah. The Dick Trickle Memorial puts that program on. Mm-hmm. The crowds are usually just jam-packed. And a shout out to Cody and Shannon Smiley that own that track. They do such a good job at that one. But no, that's cool. And then Justin just dominated Slinger. And when I say dominated, they moved him out of the way. It was like an accidental thing. Alec got a little loose going in, nicked him. Alex gets away. He falls back and forth, chased him back down, passed him, and goes off to win the race.
Wow!
Shout out to Mondyke, and he raced Clover. Yeah. Golden Sands also. He was a Wausau car. He's from up there in the UP area.
Okay.
And so Cranon, I think, is where they're Anago or something like that is where he's actually from. But yeah, they travel. They travel a lot. But we see Mondyke down here with us.
Yeah.
Yep,
yeah, he
sometimes.
does travel a lot.
So yeah, anything else? We got
No,
That's
I know
it.
This week. I mean, coming up, you guys are headed out, so we've got a big weekend again of racing.
Yeah, taking off tomorrow. We're going to go run that Berlin race with the home car.
Yeah.
With our home car, it'll be a lot of fun. And then I'm actually crew chiefing for Seth Christensen with Evan Shaco's car. Yes. So Kendrick is crew chiefing and driving his own car.
On your own
so me and Nate are going to be helping Seth Christensen with Shaco. That'll be a lot of fun. But this is something we put together. So my dad, Ray, and Grant, and they're going to be crewing the car. So GT is not only going to be a car owner, he's also going to be a crew chief this weekend. So
awesome. I'm sure he's excited for that one.
So if they win the race, I'm fired. But after these messages, we'll get right back and we'll have Colin on, and that'll be a lot of fun talking to Colin.
Yeah.
So after this word.
Buying or selling a home? It's more than a transaction. It's a strategy. I'm Amy Lynn, and I bring clarity, confidence, and results to your real estate journey. Whether you're searching for the perfect place to call home or preparing to list your home for top dollar, I've got you covered. With smart marketing, strong negotiation, and a network you can trust, I don't just help clients close, I help them win. Let's make your next move the right one.
All right, and welcome back to Let's Talk Short Track Racing. We're on with Colin Allman. Colin, come on in and say hey.
Hey, how you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Awesome. No, it's good having you. No, we appreciate it. Yeah, calling in on us. So, yeah, you came across a great week. You've been actually doing really well. Like, I mean, every race you've been kicking ass and running up front. Now you finally got a win here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Our cars have been good this year. You know, I said it last night on Sunshine State Racing deal. Like, you gotta ride the wave. You know, like racing you're not always going to get this stretch of runs like we've been having. You know, we're soaking up every minute of it, but also trying to make sure in the shop that we're taking care of business and making sure our cars are prepared. Like I prepared that car for almost a month to go to that race because we had such an off time with that car from the Rattler, you know. So
yeah,
like we're just trying to stay on top of it. You know, you've done this for a long time, Frank. You know how much things change, and and it can get away from you in a hurry if you don't stay on top of it. So that's what we're trying to do. You know, we've worked hard at this for a long time, and it's cool to go out of town now and have, you know, as good of runs as we're having. We've always ran well at home, and to have the speed like at Pensacola, we had something crazy happen that I've never had happen before with the rack coming loose. Like, never had that happen before, but I got to the shop and fixed it as soon as we got there and double checked the super before a Freedom Factory. So,
that freaks you out when the rack comes loose.
Oh yeah, that was a weird feeling. I'll tell you what. I'm like, something's breaking. Like, something's coming apart. Like, a car's darting back and forth down the straightaways. Like, something's breaking. We come in and Dad's like, no, rack's moving back and forth. Like, oh, that's awesome.
No, and that stuff happened. You always feel like, you know, the nut and bolt is the basic thing in a race car, but it's the thing that you're okay. I checked that, but it's the one time that you check it and you thought you checked it, and it didn't get done.
Exactly what bit us at Pensacola. Like we were second in practice, and we were second in the final practice or first practice up there or something. I thought we would have had a good shot at competing for another top 3 there, you know, and then about lap 5 in the race, I'm darting down the straightaways. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah. Now, is that a left-hander?
Yes, both of our cars are left-handers.
Yeah, I am Wayne and Dan and the Lensing family over there in Rockford, Illinois. They're just friends of mine, and Kendrick's home car, 2 home cars are both left-handers. To me, I love it. Like I always said, the best car that I felt out there in super late mile racing was a Toby Noodleman left-hander. Yeah, and they still race that car at the Snowball Derby. That it's the Toby lefty, not just the Toby car. You know.
Yeah, like I mean, my cars. I mean, I don't have Toby clips or anything, or like all my stuff's straight left-hander. But I'm on Toby's spindles and Toby's rear geometry and stuff. And that's been I've ran it. I put it on. The first race I put it on was at Auburndale last March. Not this year, but last year. Yeah. And we've just been tweaking on it. The cars have been fast everywhere. Like once we got over that, it's kind of like we got over the hump. You know, it's like that's what it worked for our stuff. You know what I mean? Like it was just that little bit more that we needed to compete at some of the out of town races. And Toby's helped me a lot. Ty's helped me a lot. Like it's Jeff Cannon, FRS Shocks helped me a lot. Like it's definitely not all on me. You know, I get a lot of help from those guys, and I can't thank them enough, because obviously you gotta have some help from smart guys to get you over the hump, and that's what we've that's what we've been able to do. It's really cool.
It is. I said down up there so Toby's up the road for me in Wisconsin, and we've been chasing them guys too, and I've had successful nights with Toby racing against us, and I always said that one thing in Wisconsin, Toby's hard to beat, but he's been doing it a long time. He comes from a lot of back when his Kevin Noodleman was racing, or like way back in the day when they Steve Holshausen, he crew chief Steve's career, most of Steve's career, saw good stuff. Older guy's been doing a long time. Got hooked up with Menards. Once he was with John Menard and the Menard boys, it was like Toby it was a free for all then, and he learned a lot. And and he's a great guy, great friend of mine. And he's a good guy to go to. And me, I have to chase him around up there, so our stuff's pretty good up there. And now we're trying to get it down here. And I just and I could tell I could tell your rear geometry was his. I actually could see it, and I said, "Man, he must have some Toby stuff in there because that car is moving around."
You can see it on the entry.
Yeah, for sure. And I was laughing because me and you were talking after that race about. He goes, I got on the radio with Kendrick, his mom's spots, and then I got on the radio. I said, "Hey, Colin's loose. Just if you're going to go to that outside, just know he's loose." And then I laughed because you both look like. You go down the turn 3 and you're both sideways going in. I'm like, well, this ain't going to matter anyway because you're both in the same situation. And no, I'm excited for you because I seen you get second places and then you finally got this win. And you were wheeling it. I mean, them guys up front there, the two other guys that, and they're all our friends, they're up there racing hard. Michael's racing hard and trying to hold his position. And the 46 was up there. He was running strong too. And of course, I was telling Kendrick and I, not more me than even Grant. It's just like we're saying on the radio, just be patient, ride, let that sift out, see what happens. You were in the middle of it, and you were kind of in the middle of it in the dangerous zone. And and I was like,
no doubt.
And I was like a couple times there. You're just it could have been bad for all ways, and it don't have to be like that. But like I said, I know what Michael was trying to do. I know what them guys were all trying to do, but at the end of the day, man, we don't have to do that. I feel like we have such a great group of guys that run that series, and we don't, just tear stuff up. And you guys are all racing hard. Everyone was sideways going into turn 3. Everybody was. I don't think there was a car that was solid going into turn 3 because I just so happened I was standing down in turn 3.
Right.
But I said that
it was like that. It was like that for us too. Like at the beginning of the race, I thought we would have had a car to march forward a little quicker than we did, but we just got stuck in traffic, and it's just I couldn't pass Dylan. Like, it took me forever to pass him. Like I was trying to work him. I just couldn't get there. It was one of them deals. I kind of changed my game plan after about lap 20. I'm like, all right, I think I'm just gonna ride it out for a minute, and let guys come back to us. And then we had a couple cautions and a couple guys fall out. Like Daniel Webster probably had one of the better cars in the field, and he unfortunately broke. But no, like once we got up to the top 5, I felt like we had a good shot at it. Watching the other cars, that we were around at that point in the race, I was like, I think we still have a shot here,
Yeah.
And then we got by Michael on the outside there on that restart, and that's when him and the 46 got together.
Yeah.
But even still, then when we got by him on the top, Michael was still hounding me. He wasn't going away. But no, I felt like it was aggressive up front. I felt like they were racing hard. Like it was just one of them deals that one guy wanted part of the racetrack and the same guy wanted it too.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what that was.
Unfortunately got together.
Yeah. No, it was a bummer. So Colin, a lot of like your racing career, when did you start? When was your career start?
So I started in sportsman cars, basically what Ricky's got now.
Yep.
And started in sportsman cars. My first ever race was at New Smyrna. We went and tested in the morning, and I spun out twice in practice. Couldn't figure out how to get the thing turned back up the hill because it was my first time ever driving a stick shift. So I was learning on the fly, trying to drive a stick shift, and going up the banking at New Smyrna. It was a bad combo. Terrible combo. So we ended up I think we ended up breaking a motor my first time going to the racetrack and driving a race car. We broke a motor in practice, and then the next week, New Smyrna had another race. Like they had a weekly show, the one we tried to go to and blew up, and then they had a 50-lapper for like a series race that they used to have between New Smyrna, Auburndale, and DeSoto the next week. And that was back when, crate motors were $3,200 delivered to your door. So we shipped in another crate motor, put it in that week, went back. I think I qualified like 12th out of 14. I spun out by myself, hit the wall by myself.
Oh, no.
And
the typical start.
Yeah. And then got wrecked. Like I actually got checked up for a wreck on the last lap, and then someone behind me didn't and plowed me into it.
so then this is for me right here.
Oh yeah, it was a crazy couple days, like a crazy couple weeks. Like spin out in practice, can't get the thing turned around and back going. I'm like, geez, what am I doing? I felt dumb because there were some super guys there. Like, I don't know if y'all remember Joe Boyd, but I've known him since I was 4 years old because my dad used to race against him, and he was over there. He came over lapping after I came off the track and couldn't get the car back going. He's like, hey, you got to let it back down the hill first. I'm like, yeah, I got that now.
That's learning the hard way.
Yeah, my dad, and of course my dad didn't say nothing on the radio. He's just watching me struggle. I'm like, you can't help me out a little bit here? Like, I know what you're trying to do, but you can't help me out a little bit?
Your dad's better than probably me to Kendrick, because when he was learning how to race, he was a stick shift thing, and I was chewing his ass worse than probably any father should. But
he didn't say a word. He's like I stalled it. I think I stalled it about 6 times trying to get on.
Trying to get going.
So he's like, he finally, after the 6th time, he said, give it a little bit more gas, a little slower on the clutch. Like, okay. And then of course you get it going, and then you hit the chicka, get going.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Oh goodness gracious. But no, it was a crazy couple weeks. And then my second race was in the same car. We went to Auburndale, I think within the next week or two. Went to Auburndale, spun out 3 times in practice there because I didn't realize how much you had to slow down at that place compared to New Smyrna.
Coming off of New Smyrna, right? Yeah, now you got to use brake, load it up.
Oh, yeah. So I go off into the corner and overcook it and then lock them up because I was trying to adjust from overcooking it, I spin out 3 times in practice, qualify. I ended up qualifying second to Brandon Morris that night. I finally got it figured out how to get around the track. Qualified second to Brandon Morris that night, and it at the green flag, it's like I threw a boat anchor out and went straight backwards. And then I think I hit the wall by myself on the front stretch. You know how the front stretch got the steps?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think I hit that with the old I-beam rear bumper that are on them cars and knocked the I-beam bumper off, and then they black flagged me.
So you gained no fans between New Smyrna and Auburndale, and now you want a UARA race over at Freedom Factory. That's pretty cool.
And it was crazy. And then the next race we went to Citrus, and I finished 3rd.
Oh.
Like I talked to Steve Dorer helped me out a lot.
Yep.
After that Auburndale race, he taught me how to break down the corner, how to you got to adjust for entry first, then you got the 6 zones of the corner basically, and basically taught me how to do that on a sheet of paper. My dad tells the story sometimes. We went to Citrus, and I was like, my 3rd time ever in a race car. I'm like, yeah, it's a little free in, and it gets tight middle, and it's free off. He's like, okay, whatever. He adjusts the car to it, and we go like a 1/10 and a half faster. He's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then we ended up qualifying 3rd and finishing 3rd that night. And that's basically like we started running pretty well after that. We won a couple sportsman races, and then got in the Super, which is the same Super we're racing now. The next year.
Yep.
And made my debut race at Auburndale. We had triple 50s. And I think I finished 3rd in one of them. I finished like 5th or 6th in the other ones, but yeah, that's basically how we got my start.
That's pretty cool. That's neat. It's funny because like that sportsman class, I just love that class down here. So up home we got the 602 Outlaws, but down here they're the same thing basically. It's the 602 with a outlaw wedge body.
Yeah, the 602s are more. They have they're like super chassis though, aren't they?
Yeah, they don't have you guys down here. Yeah, you guys got more of the stock stub with the gearbox in them. But I guess some of them are running racks now. They said.
Yeah, some of them you can run tube clips now, which I think most of the guys are on tube clips.
Yeah.
But you have to run stock lowers and stock location. I think that's what the rule is now.
And it's funny because I build 2 sportsman cars up north, and they're really, really good cars. And I always said, man, I wonder what one of these with that front end would be on because there's a 50-pound weight break up north if you run that. So like if you brought one of the sportsman cars up north, they'd have a 50-pound weight break, and to me that's big. Up there.
Oh yeah.
I think a guy could do really well with it, but yeah, no.
Yeah, it's like when we actually bought the sportsman car back last year because the guy we sold it to a few years prior was getting out of racing, and we wanted to, it's an older car. It's an 01 left-hander with a stock front flip, and so we bought it back from them and actually raced it. We tried to race it at the Freedom Factory. We took our old DeSoto setup down there with our old shocks and everything. And with the shocks now, you have to run 100 pounds heavier than everybody.
Yep.
So we were like, you know what? We're going to try it. The car was super fast down there. I won 2 or 3 races with it. And when I went to college, Erin Williamson raced it there, and it was almost unbeatable down there for a couple years. So we took that same exact setup, went down there, and it was garbage. Absolutely horrible. Absolutely horrible.
Probably more change than you think, not just.
Oh yeah. So we ended up scaling it at the track to take the 100 pounds off, and I think I went a tenth or 2 faster just by putting the spec shocks on, taking 100 pounds off, adjusting the little springs here and there to accommodate for the shocks, and ended up going a tenth or 2 faster just from changing the weight and the shocks and everything. It's like, yeah, you can't run built shocks in this class anymore. You got to go with the spec shock to get that weight break.
Yeah, for sure. The weight on them crate engines are everything. And I anytime there's a weight break on something, I'm the crew chief going after the weight break. I'll take the weight.
It's like the stock 604 now for the pro cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of the races you get a 100-pound weight break. It's like, well, some of the places that you would want, the horsepower. But then you also got to think about how much center speed you're going to gain. It's like,
and look at Speed Weeks. Connor
Jones.
Yeah, Hunter Jones. He had a stock one, and Hunter Wright did. Yep. They both had stock 604. I mean, Jones or what's his name always had illegal carburetors. But And I heard the carburetor deal was just. It's just stuff that's a carburetor with raised boosters, and in the carburetor world, every one of the new carburetors have. The boosters are higher, so there's so many different things but it's not like
no doubt. I was watching Speed Weeks, and me and Dad were watching one of the nights, and I'm like, yeah, no one can compete with that 44 car right now. That car gets through the corners so well. He was about the only one that could run the bottom.
Yeah.
In 1 and 2 and still keep his momentum up in the pro car to go.
Yeah.
It was nuts.
Yeah. But hey, I guess we're going to take a break here, and we're going to keep you right on, and I guess we're going to bring Kendrick right on here too. So we'll have you and Kendrick talking with us. So that'll be a lot of fun. But after these messages, we'll be right back. We'll be back with Colin, and we'll have Kendrick on.
Buying or selling a home? It's more than a transaction. It's a strategy. I'm Amy Lynn, and I bring clarity, confidence, and results to your real estate journey. Whether you're searching for the perfect place to call home or preparing to list your home for top dollar, I've got you covered. With smart marketing, strong negotiation, and a network you can trust, I don't just help clients close, I help them win. Let's make your next move the right one.
All right.
Welcome back to the Let's Talk Short Track Racing podcast. We've got Kendrick here with us, and we've still got Colin on the phone.
Me and Colin, we could just keep talking racing. Sorry for
yeah, the whole commercial break.
So
Erin's like, shut up, guys. We're going back live.
And we were just talking about DeSoto, the Freedom Factory. I still call it DeSoto, but yeah, that's a rough track. And Kendrick, that was your first time there. I crew chiefed with Anthony Campy. We had mostly back then. I had mostly Anthony driving the car. Back when I was crew chiefing for Anthony in the 81 car, but for years we ran there, and actually we held the track record there. I think we still have it actually, but yeah, I just never remember that bump being that big. But so at the end of this run, you guys, it was, what was it, 10 laps to go, 15 laps to go? It was you two.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah, and it was you. I laughed because we still talk about it, but you guys had a lot of fun. Like I said, you guys ran a good race, and that was a good show. Like I said, I feel like Ricky's shows they do really, really good. And so, what do you think, Kendrick? That was a lot of fun.
That race was a lot of fun, but that was a wild one. That bump rattles you right out of the seat and rattles the steering wheel right out of your hands, I swear. But it was a lot of fun, though. I had never been so wore out after a race in my life just because of that.
I said when I went to Victory Lane, Colin, I was looking at both you and Kendrick. You both, and just with you, Colin, up there running up front, racing with them guys, you were hanging on, and I mean, just clearing them. Especially when the 46 and even a couple of them there. You were hanging on. I was standing in turn 3. Turn 3 action was a lot of action in turn 3. The bump, but guys are trying to make a move there, but at the same time, it's just getting through that bump is holding on your race car.
None of us had the greatest handling race car at the end of the race. Well, that's normal, but.
What are both of your thoughts on racing the outside group there?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
I was actually surprised that the outside, it seems like it's coming in a little bit, because that first year when we went down,
there was none.
There was nothing there, right?
Yeah.
So, and when I got on the top this past weekend, when we were in 4th, and I got into 3rd out of 4. I got a good run out of 2, got good momentum, and was able to go through 3 and 4. You kind of got to keep the left rear in the black, right? So I was keeping the left rear in the black and got a good run off of 4 and was able to clear the guy in 3rd. And then I made the pass for the lead on the top. I was like, wow, the outside's actually coming in here now. A couple years ago there was nothing there.
No, I passed a lot of cars actually on the restart on the outside. When my first initial thoughts, I'm like, oh, great, I'm going to get drugged to the rear.
Yep.
All of a sudden, I have a lot of grip for all of a sudden. And I'm like, oh, I'm picking guys off. Hell yeah.
It felt like the car was in a better position on the outside than it was on the bottom. The car was loose on the bottom, but when you got up on it, because at one time you're already up there, Colin, but he was on the back there. I noticed that, like he just rolled around 2 cars on the outside right away. And even Nick on, I think when Nick went up there, Nick was fighting. We have both cars are the same cars out of the shop, but they're still, we still are trying different things, and sometimes what Nick likes is, Kendrick's, I got Nate, crew chief's Nick, and then I crew chief Nate, and me and Nate work together, but I crew chief Kendrick. But me and Nate work close together, and sometimes what Nick likes and what Kendrick likes are 2 different things. So no doubt. You have that ability, but I noticed when they both kind of went, here the cars are loose on the bottom, but then they go to the top, and normally in any track, if you're loose on the bottom, you're really loose on top. And that track seemed to grab onto the car a little bit. That's what I noticed. Yeah,
it was crazy. Like that first, when I took the lead from Hein, like, I got such a launch attitude. Like I was at his door, and then I got back in the gas, and it took all that it could take. Like I just pretty much just laid it to the wood and went. I'm like, oh wow, I wasn't expecting that. But it was cool. It was cool to have to be able to do that. Like I said, a couple years ago, you wouldn't have seen that. So now the track's starting to get a little bit of grip up there, and I think it makes a better race. You're actually be able to make moves up there and able to make passes, and I think it's going to be. I think the one in November is going to be a really good one.
Oh, I agree. I think Crown Vic's put the rubber on the outside.
That was a good race. I feel like that group of guys, just the group of guys too. Like I said, there's a good group of guys here. Seems like everybody's friendly. And, I was saying earlier in the segment, there's a couple guys that, and it's not that I always say rattling, when someone says ruffling feathers. I was talking about that before you got on before we had you on. And I said it's so different in Wisconsin, because if you're the guy ruffling feathers in Wisconsin, that's kind of like no zone. And the fans don't like that up there. They like good racing, and if you're the guy ruffling feathers, you're probably the guy that's going to be, as soon as you ruffle the feathers, you're getting paid back quickly, and that sucks. I look at it like, man, like setting the guys up, making the move, and that's what you were doing. I mean, you were setting them up, making the move on the outside, rolling around there, and I said that's where, and down here it's so different, because there is a lot of bumping. And, and when there's bumping, 9 times out of 10, and I'll say this, 9 times out of 10, it's trouble. And it may be not trouble right then, but you just flip the switch on that guy's temperature. And when that happens, then it's something's coming up. But it's never the 2 guys, right? It's always the guy that's 2, 3, 4 cars back, or maybe 2 cars they're getting in
that gets caught up in it.
Yeah, they get caught up in it. And I said, with this group of guys, the ruffling the feathers stuff, we should call, like, that's the thing where, guys, let's go race. If the car doesn't make the crossover, if the car can't roll the top, that's where we just got to go back, work on the car instead of putting the fenders on it, and make the car do that. And that's, here we've had a rough go at the beginning here. And we had a couple wrecks or whatever, but we just had a rough go just getting rolling in GTR. Grant's a year ago, this thing wasn't even here, and here we are. We're out here racing immediately, and Grant and his family have really put a lot of stuff and a lot of effort in this, and bringing us down from Wisconsin doing this, and got Nick over here racing, and this is a lot of fun. I feel like for our family, it's like we're excited doing this and racing down here. We do a lot of racing up north, but up north we race 30 nights, but we don't fix cars. And down here, it's like that's what we don't want to do, and that's even Nick. I noticed Nick, like even the start of the race, Nick is a very, very good behind the wheel. He has a car management like I've never seen, and I love that. And I feel like Kendrick's that way too. And Nick keeps them cars clean, keeps them running, and it's affordable, right? That's what makes it affordable, and that's what we need more of that. And this, if your car ain't working, we work on them. We go home and work on them instead of putting fenders on them. We work on making them happen, getting them faster. What do we got to do? And like you said, if there's something you can't do it yourself, you reach out to people. I've helped a lot of cars. I know Toby has never held back on anything than anybody's ever asked him. Toby is a great guy, and people go that work with him like, why you tell that guy that? And Toby has an attitude like, because I don't need him wrecking us, you know.
Yep. And, that was my dad told me we don't move to pass. I was taught that from very, very first stages of racing, you know. Like I remember I overcooked the corner one time at showtime and spun a guy out, and I tapped and went straight to his pits after the race and said, I'm sorry, that is on me. I did not mean to do that. I just overcooked it and got into you, you know. Like it was kind of like at the beginning of the race with Dylan. I knew I had a better car, but I couldn't cross him over and pass him.
Yeah.
So I didn't move him.
Yeah.
I did get into him once, but I got into him once or twice, but I let him save it and get it back going, and you know, just miscalculated the roll speed that I had versus what he had, you know.
Yeah.
But that's what's missing down here, you know. I watch a lot of races up north, also, you know. Like I watched you guys run in New Hampshire, wherever y'all went way up there, you know.
Yeah.
Watch that race. Like I watch a lot of racing, and it's
where we lost our axle. Oh,
I think so. Is that what happened?
Yeah, I went to a smaller axle before that run, and the gear loop got over that axle seal and just pissed all over his right rear tire after he was checked out. And he started going
I remember because I texted Dad. I said, Pryor might win this thing.
Yeah, that car, Kendrick will tell you, it was good.
Well, that was a rocket ship.
That was like a light switch when the gear loop hits the right rear tire.
Yeah, that's never good.
I said the worst thing was I was wondering how much gear lube we spread all over the track, because after Kendrick went off the track, they were wrecking everything.
You don't go from a first place car to a 20th place car within a 5-lap span.
Yeah, because I remember you took the lead, and I'm like, and he started checking out. I'm like, oh boy, these guys might be in trouble here. And then you started going back and back and back. I'm like, oh, what happened?
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah. No, it's a lot of fun. We enjoy racing with you and your family. And your dad, I talked to him a little bit at the Rattler. That's just kind of, like I said, I think with the Ricky shows, it's like family, and that's what you want. You know, up north, we have the All-Star Challenge, and I'm not even kidding you. And I'll just say this, like, this is how the group gets along. We were at WIR, about 14 of the cars never raced there, and the guy that races there all the time is driving around the golf cart with 3 racers with him explaining the track. And it's like that kind of friendship. That's what makes, you know, racing better, right? And then one of the guys put him in their car to drive their car at the track. And I just thought this is kind of stuff that we want, you know, and it used to be like that in the old days, you know, and I feel like now it's just everybody's covering everything, and don't talk to me, and it should never be like that. This is supposed to be a friendly sport, fun sport, and yeah, we're out there being competitive, but it's a lot more fun. It's bad enough it's a ton of work, man, the work that goes into it. But I guess we're going to go off to break here, and I guess we're coming to the end of our podcast here. But Colin, we're going to have you back on.
All right.
Definitely a shout out to you from the GTR program.
We didn't talk enough.
Yeah, you did a great job. And then, but we'll have you on another time, and we're going to go into Tech Talk after this. So after these messages, again, Colin, thank you. And
yes, thank you, Colin.
Congrats on the win, buddy.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet. After these messages.
Buying or selling a home? It's more than a transaction. It's a strategy. I'm Amy Lynn, and I bring clarity, confidence, and results to your real estate journey. Whether you're searching for the perfect place to call home or preparing to list your home for top dollar, I've got you covered. With smart marketing, strong negotiation, and a network you can trust, I don't just help clients close, I help them win. Let's make your next move the right one.
Hi everyone, welcome to Tech Talk. I'm Frank, this is Nate. We're going to talk about bump sticks and loads today on your race car. Kind of like the basics. We want to kind of just do a demonstration on basics, just for guys that are trying to figure out the bump loads or the obviously compression loads, whether you're springing, bumping, it doesn't matter. But we're here with one of the GTR race cars, and we're going to kind of give you just kind of like a basic rundown on what we kind of do, you know, when we get a new car put together, and we're setting up heights and figuring out the bumps. So a lot of times these guys will get. I make these. These are just little ruler sticks that are height, your inch heights for your smasher. You know, we have a rear smasher, spring smasher, or whatever you want to call them, force machines. So this one I made, this just gives your shock eye to eye, so you can see the dimensions on there. It'll just give you right on this edge here. There's fancier ones. I build everything, so I can't stand buying stuff. So how I usually start, when I use a suspension in one of the cars, it doesn't matter your car, whether you're Hampton, Port City, Fury, does not matter. I go by a height of a car. A lot of times guys will go by just they're basically loads. But if you're starting from ground zero, I would always say have your car in your jack stand. So I'm just going to use my car, and whatever you do, make sure you're using the same spot in your shop every time if you're going to go to these loads. So what I always do is I have 14-inch jack stands. Stack stands is what I have in my shop, and then everything's 14 inches on that one spot in that shop every time. Then what I do is I jack the lower, after I get all my suspension done, bump stop, bump steer, everything's completely done. I jack my ball joint off the ground on the right side at 27 inches. Why 27 inches on a 14-inch jack stand? Because that's pretty basic, you know, half to 5/8 inch squish on the tires. And that gets you kind of like where you're going to be really close. And just if you stick with that same thing every time, you're fine. Just stick with that same thing that you're doing. When I do that, I jack this to center off the ground after my camber. Like I said, everything's all set. At that 27 on the right side, and I use 26.5 on the left side because the racetrack always has some sort of concave curl to it. Use that every single time. You could be 25, you could be 24, I don't care what you use, just make sure you're using it every time. So once I get this set at 27 inches, then I take my stick and I set it into my eye-to-eye position. And then that sets my eye-to-eye. So let's say it's 16.5. And I'm just using this for math. Let's say it's 16.5 is my eye-to-eye, and I call that at my full dead crush. That's the car completely crushed. I'm 16.5. So then I set my loads in my car at 16.5 on my smasher machine. So once that load is set at 16.5, so whatever you're doing, let's say you're at a flat track and you're using 1,750 pounds of crush load. So 1,715 pounds is going to be at that 16.5. Now you get to the track and you're going to have an indicator on where your shock actually goes at that track. And so all of a sudden you're sitting there, that indicator is, hey, okay, it's 1,750, but it's not at 16.5. Let's say it's at 17. Then you know your car's a half inch off, the cross member's a half inch off the ground. So what you're trying to do is get your car at that. You want it right at the bottom because that's where all your geometry is set. When you're setting your geometry in your race cars, you set it at one position. So when we set our geometry, everything is set at that one position. The right side, like I said, I use 26.5 on the right side on a 14-inch jack stand, and I use 27 on the right side, 26.5 on the left side. And that gets me really close, and that's kind of like what I've done for years. But once them loads are set and you get your inch number, I usually write it on the chassis. So if this side is 16.5, I physically write it on the chassis 16.5. If it's the left side, it's 15.5, I write it 15.5. And the older cars will have the shorter bay bars, so they'll be like in your 15, 16 marks, and your higher bay bars are more like your 16.5 and 17 marks. So then when you're setting your bump stick, your bump loads, and because then you got bump loads, maybe you're running a half inch of bump, 3/4 bump, whatever your bump, but everything's off that. But this kind of just gives you like a basic setup on the bump sticks. And then when I set my loads at them numbers, I'm trying to get as much information as I can here. And you might have to rewind this recording and keep going back as you talk to us. But that gives you like a real life load. So then we're going to go over to the smasher machine, and we're going to show you at 16 and a half on a right front load where that might be. So, hi everyone, we're back. So now we're over here with our Ultra Force machine from Weir's. We have, I call it like kind of a baseline one. This is what works for us. We do have one at the racetrack that goes, and then one that stays here in the shop. Chad and them guys make a great machine. We use Strasberg Performance for our shocks in our shop here. Steve's a friend of mine. He gets us right where we need to be all the time. And it's like I said, sometimes when you have a friend that does it, he knows what you want and he just builds what you want. So like I was just using this for example. So like here we have your indicators, and we're using a right front shock here. So I'm going to go to our full crush load at 16 and a half. So when we go to 16 and a half, I have no idea what this shock is, but and we're just using this for an example. My loads aren't 16 and a half, but I just want to show you what our loads are just at 16 and a half. So here, 16.497, at 16 and a half to me, we're sitting at a 1411 load. So in this one here, whatever track this might be, I got a little pink mark there. This is probably where that track, depending on where my adjustments on my uppers, on my bay bars, I might adjust. Sometimes I get to the track. What I do is once I set my loads, I don't change the loads ever again. Then I'll just move the chassis up and down versus moving the loads. I don't turn the nuts or nothing. So like in this case here, this might be where that little mark there is where this car, whatever car in this shop, we have different cars. We have Port City cars, we have Hampton cars, we have Dean Clampberg cars in this shop. So this car here, it shows at 16 and a half, we're at 14 and 11, and this is here where it actually indicated at the track. So if we're 16 and a half is kind of our number, but we actually went out racing now and we moved something, and this is actually the indication that we actually physically went. So stiff in the back where we use a lot of travel in our cars because we use the dynamic for our advantage. And I mean, and what you want to do. Some guys will, we're just talking. I know guys that run the pair of 250s. I know guys that run 350s. I just heard a guy running a pair of friggin' 900s in the back at a certain track, and I laugh because 900s ain't moving, and they just indicate. So basically they're just running their car like a go-kart. But in reality, our car in dynamic mode. So using the 26 in the right rear, 25 in the left front, 27 in the right front, 26 and a half in the left front. That's 5/8 of tire squish in the race car, and that gets your car right at the frame as best as you can. And like I said, whatever you're doing up above there is on what you're deciding to do. But for the guys that are just starting out in this and trying to figure things out, if you start there, that gets you close, and then once you get your indicators and you run your indicators, then you're at that track and you say, okay, that's it, that mine is now that. So if it's 16 and a half in the right front, like this one here, we got 16 and a half, but actually, if we go like that to the pink mark, it's actually 16 and a quarter is what our full crush number is. So that, like this one's 1452 at 16 and a quarter. So this is probably one of our flat track loads here that we got in our car. So it just gives you an idea that you're starting at that point. And each time you do this, it's just giving you a baseline what you're doing. And then you learn from them exact inches every single time. So if you write them numbers like I always do on my cars, I write that number on the four corners, the 27, the 26. And so when I have that inch load with our stick, with our measuring stick, on all four corners at them loads, the back, I just take two jacks and jack up the back to that center off the ground. And I just go to them inch loads and I write them on my chassis, and then I always know. And then once I scale the car with the driver in the car, once I have that scaled in the car and the driver's sitting there, then I use my, which I call my indicated loads to where right height loads. So here's my full crush travel loads, and then I have my indicated loads just by inch on all four corners as the car's sitting with the driver in it. Everything's loaded up. So if I want to change the spring or change something in the suspension on the spring, I go to that number and change my spring and put it right back there, which keeps my percentages where they need to be, my load numbers where they need to be. But that's the basic 101 on kind of let's master what you're trying to get done. And I mean, people ask for this, so we're giving them stuff we do. I have nothing to hide what I'm trying to do. If you have any questions, just comment, and we'll answer questions. We'll put it on the next podcast of what we do. So we had this a couple times, you know, and people might say, "Oh, dude, there's splits." Once you find, I always say, when you get them numbers and you find speed in a racetrack, and you find split percentages, and you find them things at the fast track, try taking them to the next track. Take the same splits, just you might have different loads, but use them splits. Use your, you know, you've got percentages that you deal with your scales, but this machine is your friend. This will make your race program a little friendlier. And I mean, everyone has their way. This is just the way we do it here at GTR Racing. And I guess that's what our tech talk is today. So if you have any questions, comment. And like and subscribe our YouTube channel. And we'll keep doing more stuff like this.
Buying or selling a home? It's more than a transaction. It's a strategy. I'm Amy Lynn, and I bring clarity, confidence, and results to your real estate journey. Whether you're searching for the perfect place to call home or preparing to list your home for top dollar, I've got you covered. With smart marketing, strong negotiation, and a network you can trust, I don't just help clients close, I help them win. Let's make your next move the right one.